Hey guys, welcome back. It's time to take a look at CGC, who is going to join the grading card company club that has graded fake first edition stamps. And you're saying, Rattle, how do you know what's going on here? How do you know this is CGC graded? And how do you know that it's a fake stamp? You see, shadowless cards are the same as first edition. That's why you typically don't say first edition shadowless, because the shadowless is kind of redundant at that point. First edition base, always shadowless. Shadowless card is basically just a first edition base card without the stamp on it. And because of that reason, we've seen many individuals over the course of time try to commit some fraud by adding that stamp on themselves. Sometimes they look terrible. Sometimes they're not so bad. In this case, it's not terrible, but there are indications, and we're going to go through that today. I'm going to teach you guys how to identify, how to check your first edition base or first edition in general. Compare the same set, compare the same language when you're doing something, but the same premise applies to anything below. So here it was. Thank you to Billy for showing this off. Unfortunately, Billy purchased this bad boy, this CGC graded Pikachu, and he's got a fake stamp on him. Unfortunately, Billy cracked it out before she realized that it was fake. So we got a little bit of a dilemma here, and we're going to see if CGC is going to... Again, it's whether or not it's still in the case. I do think there is some responsibility involved. If people are going to purchase this stuff based on the fact that you graded it, they're going to argue. They're going to argue the same with the other grading companies. They're going to say, it's not in the case anymore. How do we know it's the same card? We got images of the card. We got some nice juicy scans of the card here. Maybe we'll give that a little blow up, a little looky poo, so you guys can see. If you cannot tell, knowing that this is fake, if you cannot tell that this is a fake first edition stamp on this Pikachu, you need to do your homework. You can't rely on the grading companies. I tell you this, guys, time and time again. Rely on yourself. Know this stuff yourself. Learn this stuff yourself. Because the minimum wage employee or near minimum wage employee that's looking at this shit for 30 seconds is not going to catch everything. And guess what? That's their business model. They do not want to spend time, energy, money, resources, real resources on this stuff because they can't afford to. Anyone that has any sort of real expertise in this space would not be working as a grader. Just spend a couple years and you'll know more than the graders. I promise you. If you're heavily invested. Here's a real one. Now let's take a look at this real first edition stamp Pikachu. And before we get into the differences, I'm going to show you guys the differences up close. But I want you guys to let me know, can you tell that this is fake? Can you tell it's fake? Can you tell it's not fake? Ooh, we are really zoomed in here. Can you see the difference on the real one here? And yes, it can be subtle. Sometimes it's painfully obvious. It's in the wrong spot. It's the wrong size. It's smudgy. It's whatever it might be. But in this case, pretty decent con job by whoever added this stamp. Now we get the side-by-side, and this is all without, I do have microscope videos. If you want to take a look at those, there is more determining factors. But this is something that before you bid on an auction, before you purchase this thing, before you sell this thing, before anything else, before you crack it out, know this stuff. Check it yourself first. I know it's not like it's $1 million jillion here, but it's important. You don't want to be sitting on this thing for years. Same with sealed product. We're going to touch on sealed product a little bit later in the video here. You do not want to be sitting on this stuff and find out years from now when it's way more expensive that you got duped. So here they are side by side. We'll do a closer example here. We got some lines to show you exactly what I look for. And what your trained eye should be looking for when you take a look at this stuff. Again, also important, if it gets to the point that these things are done well enough that we need to, magnification is going to identify, is going to show the stamp. If it's the wrong material, anything else like that. Now, this is stuff that the grading company should, at this point in 2025, they should be able to scan this. They should be able to immediately throw up a red flag. I don't give a shit if they want to pretend they're AI or not. If you do a scan on this thing, it should come back. Same way they should know if the card is the correct size, if it's been trimmed, if it's been inked, any of that stuff. All the very common stuff. This is a very common scam. Like, not that most of the first edition base that you're purchasing, that you're buying from places that's graded, not graded. If you're careful, you're grading it yourself, you're authenticating it yourself. Most of it is not going to be fake stamped, but there is a lot of fake stamp stuff out in the wild. So if we take the frame here and the shadowless part of for anyone that doesn't know, the shadowless is on the other side. There's no shadow on the right hand side. There would be a shadow on your base unlimited, your base 1999 2000 fourth print, if you want to call it that most people don't even know exists. But in this case, we got no shadow on it. But if we take that picture frame, that frame from the artwork, and we draw a line straight down, it should intersect the T, and it should intersect the T like it does on the left-hand side. That is the real example. Now, our T should also be slanted. Now, these are not going to be perfect. They might be in the holder, or the scan might be slightly off. For the most part, they're where they need to be. Your T is going to be sliced. Your 1 is going to be sliced almost near the middle. And in the fake one here, you can see that that is not the case. Simple enough, right? And then you can draw the line along the bottom if you need an additional reference point. But the T is usually the dead giveaway. If the T is not slanted, if the T is not lined up with that top box, some stuff is super consistent with Pokemon, and the stamps are. The WotC first edition stamps are painfully consistent on where they are, the size they are, everything of the sort. There is thick, thin, gray, whatever. Be careful, no matter what you're buying. There was fake gray stamps as well, done by our favorite con man, federal criminal Arjent that we'll touch on in a second here. But I hope this helps. I hope this helps a little bit. If you need more instructions like this, I have other videos. Join the Discord if you have questions about this stuff, and we'll do our best to answer them. Check your peek holes. Make sure that there's no inking on your cards and everything else. So you're saying, Rattle, what do you mean the other grading companies fell for this shit? And I'm just blindly trusting them because I'm new to Pokemon, and they say they're experts on their website, Rattle. Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to claim that. But again, anyone with expertise, anyone with a wealth of knowledge, and no one can know everything. Anyone that's been around for a considerable amount of time would not take money to go in there and sit for 8 hours a day, however many hours a day, grading cards. Not happening. And if they did have that, if they did have someone with expertise, grading would cost so much that it would be a deterrent, essentially. All right, so what do we got here? We have BGS. We have some fake Charizards. They all seem to be owned by this one guy. He got super defensive. Not saying he stamped them himself, but it is a little bit weird that you'd be defensive. It's a little bit weird that you have all these copies of the cards themselves. They're fake stamps. Same idea, same premise. Check them out the same way that we just did with the Pikachu, with Billy's Pikachu. That poor Pikachu, man. And sometimes the stamp will rub off depending on what they used to stamp the stamp. The thermal printers, the ones that you can just kind of print on anything, seem to be the go-to. That was Arjent's play. So here we have a fake Charizard stamped. We have there's been many a times. And the thing is, it's laziness and it's inexperience and it's the sheer amount of time that somebody has to spend with this stuff. So we had Arjent who was already in trouble on the federal level because he faked being, I guess he worked with Kanye, then he wasn't working with Kanye anymore, and he tricked somebody into wiring him $200,000 based on the fact that he was promising a project with Kanye. He got caught for that, and while he was supposed to be out on good behavior, he was scamming people in Pokemon cards. Pretty wild story. It's been a little while, so I think most of the people watching the channel here now probably haven't seen that series. If you haven't, that's a good one. That's an important one. We got a real Zard fake stamp. We got Ignore the Family Meltdown scam packs and boxes. There's Arjent himself, the con artist extraordinaire. You got to have that. And then we have PSA here. So Arjent fooled both AGS and PSA with his fake stamps. People were given props to CGC. He was advising people not to send them in to be graded at CGC when he was selling them, because he knew that CGC, I guess, had a better handle or had a higher rejection rate on the fake stamps. But as we see today, they're not impervious. They're not immune to making mistakes. And that's why you need to be the expert even if you want graded cards, even if for some reason you want to spend that extra money. I mean, in 2025 here, at the current time, with the amount of time that it takes for turnaround, if you're sending it into any of the more popular options, the options that make it worth more money, you kind of got to be a little bit crazy to do that. Wait it out. Wait till the market cools off. Pay less for grading. They'll have deals or they'll lower the price. The price at PSA right now is more expensive because they want to lower the amount of cards coming in. They know the market's not going to last forever. They don't want to add too many buildings, too many employees, too much infrastructure, even though the infrastructure is not crazy over the top in terms of hiring some people, training them how to look at a card and give it a 1 through 10, and sometimes a 0.5, which probably shouldn't even exist. But there you have it. They don't want to expand, because if the market retraces, then they got to lay people off. They got extra buildings. They got extra space. They got maybe they got extra sonic welders that they got to jam up their butt instead. I don't know what the reasoning is exactly, but it largely has to do with the fact that they don't want to grow too much. Because if the market's crazy, it's not always crazy. It tends to die down. It goes in waves, and they want to adjust based on price. So you're spending too much money. Again, if you don't care, if you get to a point that you can just collect without the grading company, without the grades, you're in a much better place. Even if you want to pick up the most excellent of excellent condition cards, you can always grade them later if you decide to do so. All right, Linktree. Thanks for using the Linktree. Thanks for supporting the channel. No money. Do not send me money. I would much rather you guys buy some stuff that you can use. Buy some stuff that is useful to you, that is good value. We got Troll and Toad. We got Secura's Card Shop, Card Market, Buy 10% off your first purchase. Be a little maybe aware of what's going on with tariffs and market conditions depending on where you live in the world. If you're in the U.S., you might want to hold out on that. Or if there's time to do it beforehand, maybe do it beforehand. Be careful who you're buying from. Buy is just purchasing for you. You tell them what to purchase, where to purchase from. If it's a reputable place, you don't have to worry. If it's not reputable, you gotta wage your risks. Know the risks involved. Collector app for tracking your collection. We got a bunch of discount codes for the things that I use and recommend. We got a bunch of stuff that you click before you shop for the things you're going to buy anyway, and it supports the channel at no additional cost to yourself. Now, we have Lo-Fi Squish, who has a video here. 11K views. That's pretty sick. On a he's only got 312 subscribers. Maybe go give him a watch. Go give him a little followerino. Let's see if we got to move this over a little bit here. Swoop. Now we're going to look at, speaking of Japanese sealed product, be very careful, especially if you're keeping it sealed, especially if you're holding on to it long term. You have to know who you're buying from, what you're buying, regardless of whether it's singles, sealed product, anything of the sort, but be careful where you're buying your sealed product. Everyone, very often, I don't even know what on what time frame it would be, but very often people come in to the Discord and they're like, hey, should I buy this off Back Alley Marketplace number 5? And I'm just like, why? Is it significantly less to the point that it's suspicious? Is it too good to be true? What is it? What's going on? Why are you buying from Back Alley Johnny instead of any of the other reputable places that you can be buying this stuff from? Or even worse, if it's like modern product, if it's something that they're going to hold on to, it's even worse because well, one, you want a way to get your money back if it's not somewhere just the most reputable place of all time. But two, if it ends up being fake and you hold on to that shit for years and then you find out later on that it's fake, like you got extra, you got time dicked, you got money dicked and time dicked. All right, let's take a look at this. We'll watch. These are a little bit scary, and if they were done better, then it would be basically impossible to tell. Japanese, for anyone that doesn't know, they have clear plastic on them. There's no balls, there's no indicators that can help identify whether something is real or fake. WotC is scary because there were some products from WotC, Wizards of the Coast, that had bigger shrink wrap than a booster box. So we've seen some people, I think it was a Magic product. I forget what the product was exactly. There was a Magic product that was bigger, that had the same balls. Don't know, or I guess it just had the WotC symbols, not balls. There was no balls back then. No balls back in the WotC days. It had the WotC symbols, the same kind of premise where it's like the white print on the shrink wrap. there's a magic product that exists that's bigger than the Pokemon booster boxes. So sometimes you see people taking it off that magic product, putting it on an extremely expensive box, but resealed box of Pokemon cards. So that gets into sketchy territory to the extreme. There is no amount of pictures that I can look at that I'm going to guarantee 100% that something vintage is real. Just like anything else. The best way to track this stuff is to know where it came from the very get-go. And if you're holding on to something for years and years, being able to show a receipt, hey, I bought it from here, here's the receipt, I bought it when it was cheap, I've owned it since it was cheap, when it came out, whatever it might be, maybe not necessarily when it came out, but showing that it came from somewhere reputable, that came straight from distribution or whatever it might be. The more receipts, the better when it comes to that stuff. You can guarantee somebody that's buying that stuff that it's real. I mean, after that, impossible to do so after it exchanges hands and some shady boys with get their fingers all up in it. All right, let's watch this anyway.
So yeah, guys, I got scammed today. So the pre-orders are here and the singles are also here, and all of them are fine. But
fast.
Some of the boxes, well, most of them actually came resealed. And I guess the reason why they got passed from suppliers because they were like in between the right ones. So for example, these are the correct ones, right? I don't know if you can see it. Let me try to focus. You see it's a bit wrinkly, right? Let me try to zoom. Maybe I can zoom in.
There's like a tamper strip there, but the tamper strip doesn't matter because you can just open the box from the sides. I don't know how they didn't test that or do anything to...
or something. And I'll try to open it. Look how clean this is. Look how the clean cut is. This is re-shrink wrap. And also feels thicker as well. You see there's no wrinkly.
He says it feels thicker, but sometimes like if it's crunchy, like if you can feel that it's crunchy, that's a bad sign. Sometimes there's bubbles, sometimes there's no bubbles. There's tons of variance
look how clean this is.
within those
like
products.
A single line. That's how you know it's completely resealed. Even from the front, and look from the back as well, it's completely clean, while the original version is wrinkly and stuff. It has these
not wrinkly though, so that's
wrinkles and stuff because it's a shrink wrap. Shrink machine has been used, and look how clean this looks from front. So this is a reseal, and I'll show it to you.
Material you can tell, but
and I'll send that to you.
All right, let's take a look at what's inside here. He's gonna crack it open.
There you go.
We got some energy jelly.
There's your booster box.
It's so weird that they...
Oh my god, I don't know if I will get a refund because, yeah, it was an individual seller, not a shop. But I was getting a good deal, and he did show me the boxes are fine, but obviously she couldn't check all of them. Oh my god, I'm so fucked. Also, I don't know what happened over there. Also, I'm gonna be...
So not only do you have to worry about the person selling it to you, but who they bought it from before, etc., etc. This sucks. I mean, it sucks for anyone that bought a significant amount of this stuff. It's big money. It's especially big money in a crazy market, especially big money if this stuff sat for years. And typically they're not going to reseal this stuff. They're not going to put jelly inside. They're not going to put jelly of any kind. They're going to put repacked cards inside. And if they do a good enough job on the outside, that's where it gets real dicey. Because in order to find out if the contents are real, you basically need to open it. Be careful out there. There are a lot of scammers. We highlight them on the channel here. I don't like when people say we when it's one person. That's why I highlight them on the channel here. It's not because everything's bad, everyone's out to get you. There are people out there to get you. Avoiding that is the best way to enjoy the hobby, the best way to make sure you don't get duped like this. So be careful. Whether it's graded, whether it's trusted, whatever. Trust yourself. Be careful. Love you guys. See you next time. Join the Discord. Bye.